So this is a problem. Hey guys, it's Julia. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm getting serious, as you can tell by the fact that I put my hair up. It's been about half a year since my last eyeshadow palette declutter, which it honestly didn't even seem that long, but clearly the problem has gotten big again. So especially because I am moving up to college next month, I really just feel the need to like clear out my collection and just really try to focus on things I really love. So I've kind of been in the decluttering mood for my entire collection. I really wanted to do a dedicated video for just the eyeshadow palettes because first of all, there's probably the most amount of eyeshadow palettes in my collection, and also because my channel kind of revolves around eyeshadow, I figured I'd just do this one on its own video. So yeah, today I'm going to be going through my entire eyeshadow palette collection, and I'm not trying to like declutter like 50% of them, but I am hoping to get rid of like a decent amount of palettes. Honestly, over the past month or so, I've kind of been like mentally decluttering some things, and now I think it's just time to like physically purge them from the collection. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this one. As always, the palettes that I get rid of, most of them will be on my Poshmark closet, so if you want to shop any of the things you see in the video, I will have that link down below. And then as always, I don't sell any of the things I get in PR or for free. Full details of this makeup look should already be on Instagram, and without further ado, let's get crack-a-lackin'. That is the worst sentence I've ever said, I'm so sorry. Okay, I honestly do not know how to approach this because it's chaotic. So I'm thinking I'm probably just gonna like take everything out, maybe group it by brand or by size, and just go from there. Okay. This is empty now, and I have like a mess of things before me. I'm going to take a video clip so you can see what it looks like right in front of me. I think I'm going to go ahead and group everything by brand and then start the declutter from there. And I'm also going to count how many palettes I have because I need to know how much I need to pare this down. Okay, I have all my palettes like organized by brand in front of me. It actually looks really nice right now. And while I was grouping everything up, I did realize I have actually decluttered a few things over the past couple months that I haven't like shown on screen. I got rid of my Il Makiage like blue palette. I got rid of my P. Louise Secret Sinner eyeshadow palette. I cannot believe this, but I actually got rid of the Morphe 39A. I just felt like it was too big and bulky and it wasn't really necessary in my collection anymore, so got rid of that one somehow. And then probably the most shockingly, which I never thought I would get rid of, but I decluttered my Pat McGrath Mothership 2. I would actually find myself like not using it because I was like, that was so expensive, I don't want to use it up, and that's such a dumb mindset to be in, and I got rid of that one and I got some money back on that.
I literally forgot to mention the starting palette count is 74 eyeshadow palettes.
Alright, I'm going to start off with my Morphe palettes. I've already like decluttered so many Morphe palettes I used to own. I used to have a bunch of those like 35 color palettes, but I got rid of all of them because I realized there was at least like 20 overlapping brown shades in each palette.
They're the same picture.
Now, even after I've gotten rid of the 39A, I just have these four. The Morphe and James Charles palette is the biggest one that I still own from them. Honestly, I'm not like a huge person for super big eyeshadow palettes. A lot of the time I just think it's unnecessary, but this is one of the few that I like think every color does have its like purpose and works within the context of the palette. And regardless of who created these palettes, I think this is a really good quality palette and I do like using this one. I did use this one for a lot of my Pride looks, and I just like having it for doing like more artistic things, so spent money on it, might as well keep it. And then my Jaclyn Hill palettes, I only have 2 left for my Vault collection. I actually didn't really hate the Vault collection. I just felt like a lot of the colors in here were pretty repetitive and very much reminiscent of what was in the original Jaclyn Hill palette, so I just didn't really feel like I needed both. The only ones I have left are the Bling Boss palette and the Dark Magic palette. The Bling Boss palette, I feel like a lot of the mattes you can find in both the Jaclyn Hill and the James Charles palette, so I don't really need to keep it for the mattes, but I really love the shimmers in here. However, the shimmers that I love in here are like a basic rose gold and a basic like bronzy taupe shade, so I think I'll be fine with that. This one, I'm gonna get rid of this. And then the Dark Magic palette. As much as I like the idea of this one, like I really love the color scheme, I wish I was somebody who looked amazing in like super dark grungy tones. And even though I think I actually got a really good formulation of this one, I've kind of just decided over the past couple months I don't really look good in super dark eyeshadow. Like, granted, I love doing looks with dark eyeshadow and then photographing them, but I really don't like how they look on me like on video or in real life. And I just feel like it makes my eyes look a lot heavier and more like droopy, and I have not reached for this one, so I'm gonna get rid of this as well, which means my entire Vault collection is gone. Bye ho. I'm going to keep my original Jaclyn Hill palette though. I am simultaneously a colorful hoe and also a neutral bish, and this is a palette where I can just use this one as my one palette for an entire week, and I won't like run out of ideas or like not be inspired when I look at this one. So this is staying. I only have 2 palettes from Too Faced. The first one is my Just Peachy Mattes palette, and this I just really love. Obviously Too Faced has been kind of like hit and miss for me in terms of eyeshadows. I do think that their permanent palettes are like bounds and leaps better than their limited edition stuff, but I think this is probably like one of the best palettes they've ever come out with, and it's just a really solid matte formula, so I love working with this one. It's definitely one of my favorites for neutral looks, and I just think it's a really like versatile thing to have. And then my Natural Lust eyeshadow palette. In the last declutter, I got rid of my Natural Love palette, and I was really like resistant to getting rid of that one just because I loved the outer packaging of it. It was just so pretty, but I wasn't using it. And a lot of people in the comments were like, don't get rid of it if you really, really love it. But I didn't really love it. I just love the packaging. So now I have that outer packaging in the Natural Lust palette, which is their kind of like sequel to that palette. But there's actually mattes in here, so I use it now. Obviously, this is a very neutral palette. You do have like 2 pops of color in here. You've got like this pink shade here and this kind of blue duochrome. All over my Instagram, I just do colorful eyeshadow looks, but on a daily basis. These are like the colors I wear to class. It's just a really good staple palette to have. And again, I think the formula in here is really good. With Too Faced, it can be pretty hit and miss, but this is one of the most consistently great palettes across the board. I'm gonna keep this one as well. One of my favorite indie brands in the world is Moira Beauty. I've actually decluttered a lot of the palettes and given them to friends just because I want more people to try this formula. So I only have 3 of their palettes right now, and these are the ones I love. Not gonna declutter any of these. I just want to show you them. This is the Sweet Paradise palette, and I've raved about this an unhealthy amount of times on my channel. I don't really use the highlighters down here as much. Not that they're bad, I just kind of forget that they're here. But when I want just really, really bomb quality eyeshadows, I go in here for some nice colorful shades. I'll try and insert some swatches so you can see how they look, but they are beautiful on the eyes. Truly one of like the silkiest, butteriest matte formulas, and I was just blown away by this one. So this is one of my favorite colorful palettes. And they've come out with a few like smaller mini palettes for the summer. I still have the 2 more colorful ones, Sandcastles in the Sky and Fearless Heart. These are really good quality. I wouldn't say they're as amazing as the Sweet Paradise palette, so I'd really recommend that one unless you like smaller palettes, in which case these are amazing. I live, breathe, and die for this tangerine orange right here. And then in the Sandcastles in the Sky palette, this one's kind of like a more aquatic mermaid type of vibe. Some really beautiful like duochrome purples and pinks in here, and I just think it's a really well done palette. So these 2 are great quality, and they're also small, so I feel comfortable keeping both of them around. I only have 2 palettes left from Juvia's Place. Got rid of the Zulu palette like sometime last year, and then the Festival palette I decluttered in the last video, so now I just have the Saharan 2 and the Masquerade Mini. They're honestly just like ridiculous quality. This blue here is amazing, and then this shade in the middle called Nomad is one of my favorite shades in my collection. However, I don't use the mattes in here because they are pretty dark, and I am allergic to this red shade here, which is honestly my favorite matte in the palette. And then these 3 shades down here, as pretty as they are pretty basic. I can find them in other palettes, so I'm gonna get rid of this one. I think I still have the box for this one, so I will probably put this on my Poshmark closet. And my Masquerade Mini palette, Casablanca right here, is this insane like copper shade. It's one of the most ridiculously crazy shades in my collections. But I really like the concept of having kind of like a half neutral, half colorful palette. It's kind of like the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette, but Juvia's Place, and I do like their formula quite a bit, so I'm gonna keep this one as well. I have like a bunch of medium-sized palettes I kind of keep together, and I think I can get rid of a few of these. Becca Après-Ski Eyelids palette. This is an eyeshadow palette technically, but I pretty much only used it as a highlighter palette, and the reflective packaging is the bane of the existence of any YouTuber. But this basically has all of Becca's most like famous highlighter shades. You've got Pearl, Moonstone, Opal, Rose Quartz, etc. And even though I felt like this was a really good way to kind of just test out different Becca colors, I really just don't find myself reaching for it. I'm more likely to reach for like an actual full-size highlighter. I just don't really think I need this one, so I'm gonna get rid of this. This is one of my favorite indie palettes. It's the Urban Bible palette from Sosu and Kaylee Emiway. Sosu is an Irish brand, I believe. I paid an arm and a leg physically, like I cut them off just to get this palette from the UK, and I love it with my whole heart. Again, it's a colorful palette with a lot of versatility, so you can really just do a bunch of different things in here with this color scheme. Sacred Fire and Unruly are 2 of the most amazing matte reds I've ever used, and even though it is kind of oriented around darker shades, I think it's just a really amazing formula, and just honestly one of my favorite things I own, so this is not going anywhere. Another indie brand I like trying out was Carity. They're kind of like a more Instagram oriented brand, but I had a lot of requests to try out their colorful formulas. I got the Smoky Palette. They have one that looks kind of similar to this one, but it's all mattes. I just got this one because I wanted to test out the shimmer formula as well, and I regret that because the shimmer formula is absolute butt shit. I do really love the colorful mattes in here. I think it's a really good formula, but I can't really justify keeping this one just because I have literally like at least 10 other Brights palettes in my collection. So I'm gonna get rid of this one because I'm not really using like half the palette, and I have so many other rainbow mattes, but it is a really good palette. Pure Cosmetics Soiree Diaries. I don't know how I got my hands on this one. I think somebody gave it to me. My friend Hannah Smokula, I think she called this one the most boring palette of all time. Yeah, it is neutrals. I do love neutrals. I have nothing against them. I really just feel like this could have been done a lot better. For example, I think the mattes are nice. They could have like done like maybe like a different matte dark brown shade because these look pretty much the same on the eyes. And I love to have like maybe a lighter shimmer just to do like an inner quarter highlight or a brow bone thing, or just having a lighter shade all over the lid. I do like the formula in here. It's just kind of not really where I'd like it to be in terms of color scheme. So I'm gonna get rid of this. All right, so I kind of did some like
sciencey.
I have these two big colorful palettes. My Sugarpill Pro Palette is one of my favorite, like, most spendy investment pieces that I own. Besides my Pan Monochromatic Palette, this was kind of like around the same price. But I did put together this entire color scheme, so I do love this. In the Joy the Rain Cosmetics Paradise palette, this was an indie brand palette, and there were a lot of shades in here that I really loved, but again, it was a brights palette, and I have a ton of brights palettes. So I took the most unique, most like favorite shades that I have in here, and I put the bright red in my Sugarpill Pro Palette to just kind of complete the rainbow thing, because I am allergic to Sugarpill's red, so this is staying now that I have a full spectrum in there. And then the other shades I popped out of here that I want to keep, I threw into my Coastal Scents Single Shadow Palette, which is a work in progress and is kind of messy.
I'm a real messy bitch.
But in here I just have like a kind of mismatched hodgepodge of things I love. We got a random ColourPop blush, breast glitters and stuff. This is my LMR Cosmetics Reina del Caribe palette with a few Natasha Denona singles right here. So this is my Single Shadows palette. I'm going to keep this, and now that this is completely eviscerated and pretty much gutted, I'm going to get rid of this one. Alright, we're making money moves. Good progress, good progress. Alright, I'm going to do my Huda Beauty palettes next. I have 2 of the bigger palettes and then 3 of these smaller palettes. I did give my Amethyst Obsessions to my mom because I have the ColourPop It's My Pleasure palette, which you'll see later. Desert Dust palette was my first ever Huda palette, and this, as fragile as it is and as much as it breaks on me, I love it with my entire heart, and I would die for it. Just kidding, I would not do that. I really like this one. I don't use it quite as often as I want to, but I think that's just because I have so many things. I get overwhelmed and I just forget to use the things I love. So I'm going to keep this one. So she stays. And then my new nude palette. I think I've talked about this a lot more often in the last couple months on this channel. I love this one. You can really do the softest look with this one, but then just throw on one of these shimmers and it just takes it to this whole new level. I think Huda's bigger palettes in general are just like a better quality formula than her smaller ones. Even though these are absolutely bomb, I just love this one. And as for my Obsessions palettes, I have a few of these. I have the Emerald Obsessions, and I don't know about this one because I do have the ColourPop Just My Luck. I think this one, I like the matte formula in here a lot better than this one, and I like the shimmer formula in here a lot better than this one. I really, really love this crazy like foiled lime green shade down here. But like all the other shimmer shades in here, I feel like I don't mind just having this one. I think I need to. Yeah, I think I need to. I'm gonna keep this one. I'm gonna keep the ColourPop one just because I love this one a lot more. And this one, even though I'm really obsessed with this lime green shade, I think I probably have like a similar shade in my collection. I just need to find it right now. So I think I'm gonna declutter this one unless I don't find another lime green shade, in which case I will keep this one. The Sapphire Obsessions, I do really like this one, and it's not anything like the ColourPop Blue Moon. So these mattes are okay. I do think that you need to use them with like a wetter base to kind of help them get more pigmented and stick down a bit more. And as always, I'm a hoe for a good navy blue. It's just really hard to find a good one. It's small, it's easy to have around, and I like it a lot. Oh, my foot's asleep again! If that doesn't give you context as to how long I've been sitting down. I have the Neon Green Obsessions. This one has really bad reviews at Sephora, but I actually really like this one a lot. I think the shimmers in here are absolutely stunning. They're all pretty like duochrome, and they all have this really interesting flip. I do like this one though, and I'm gonna keep this around because I literally just bought it. I have 2 dope palettes from C Color Cosmetics, and I'm not just calling them dope in terms of quality. They're literally called the dope palettes. Dope 1, Dope 2. And they're both dupe palettes. The Dope 1 is a dupe of obviously the Laura Lee Nudie Patootie palette. I do not have that palette. I've never tried anything from Laura Lee's makeup line. But I actually really like this palette a lot. I was very surprised with the quality of this one. Maybe it's just easier to formulate like neutral shadows, but these are insane. I love the shimmers in here, like this pink shade here. Crazy. I use this one a lot on myself, and also I use this one on like prom clients, so I'm gonna keep this. But the Dope 2 palette is a dupe of the Lunar Beauty Manny MUA Life's a Drag palette, and this one I'm less attached to. I do like the colorful shades in here, and I think they're actually really good quality. Again, the formula is good, but again, I have all of these shades in my collection many times over. I don't really need any more brights. I did buy this one myself, but I haven't really used it that much, which is sad. I've been avoiding this. My Anasazi babies. I have quite a few palettes from Anasazi Beverly Hills. I kind of used to be like a collector. I was like, I'm gonna buy every Anasazi palette ever. And I broke my streak with the Sultry palette because I thought it was ugly, and the Alyssa Edwards palette because I had the Riviera and I thought they were too similar. But I have 8 Anasazi palettes right now. I love some of them more than I love the other ones, so let's go through these. My Master Palette by Mario. This is something I don't think I will ever get rid of. Technically, yes, it's expired, but I don't really pay attention to expiration dates. I just use it until it starts to smell bad, unless it's like a cream or liquid product, and then I chuck it. But this is still performing beautifully, and even when it stopped performing beautifully, I'll probably just like put it on a shelf and display it because it's kind of a piece of makeup history. I just really love the earthy tone neutrals in here. It's one of my favorite formulas, and I really hope that Anastasia and Mario collab again because I need a round 2 to this very badly. So this stays forever and ever and ever. My Modern Renaissance palette. This I've recently fallen back in love with. It's a banger. It's always been a banger and it always will be a banger. It's the only eyeshadow palette in my collection that I've hit pan on. This is my original one that my grandmother bought me. I cherish this so much. She's currently in the end stages of dementia, so it's something that even if I use this palette up, I will keep it forever and ever because it's so special to me. So I love this one very much. How sick would it be if I used this to do my wedding makeup? Like the most expired modern renaissance palette ever, and it would still probably be amazing. So this stays, again, forever and ever and ever. My Subculture palette. I am forever a Subculture stan and an apologist for this palette. I love this. I've done some of my favorite looks ever with it. For the longest time, my profile picture was a look that I did with this palette. The formula can be a lot to work with sometimes, but I just think the intense color payoff and the richness of the shades in here is just on another level. So I see it in my TJ Maxx all the time. They always have these on sale, and I think for $24 this is an amazing palette. Bought it full price because I'm cuckoo, but I love this very much. Oh, and it has the lime green, so I can get rid of the Huda Beauty palette. We're good. Alright, Prism. I think I decluttered this one in a previous video, and then I was like, I think I still want to keep it, so I put it back into my collection, but I have not touched it ever since. I love the shimmer shades in here. I think I was really only keeping it around for this like bright yellow shade up here, because even though it's kind of like a chalky yellow formula, it looked really good in the inner corner. I have a lot of like matte yellow shades that show up really well in the inner corner now, so I don't really need this one anymore. Why is this in my, oh, I remember, okay. The Moonchild Glow Kit. This is a highlighter palette, obviously, but I really wasn't using it as highlighters anymore, and I was like, maybe if I put it in my eyeshadow palettes, I'll use this one like on the lid, or I'll use it as inner corner highlight, and I just have to accept, I think I just have to like kind of accept the fact that I'm not the person who really wears these on my cheekbones anymore. Even if I do like a more artistic makeup look, I have my Anasazi Dream Glow Kit, which is pretty much like the same colors but punchier. Honestly, I just prefer to have like a neutral highlighter. Do love these so much in the inner corner, but it doesn't really make sense for me to keep this just for the inner corners when I could just use like a white shade and then pat like a duochrome shimmer on top. But this glow kit, it's in really good condition. I still have the original sleeve, so I will be selling this one. Oh, my baby, forever and ever. I think, actually, yeah, this is my wedding palette. Soft Glam is just something else. And I have a ton of neutral palettes, but this one is just different. I think the colors in here are really, really rich. It all flows together as a palette. It all makes sense. I get inspired looking at these brown ash shades, and I just think Anasazi's formula is one of my favorites ever. So this stays. The Raveena palette. I actually like almost came to the brink of decluttering this one. Even though the shades in here are beautiful, I just really wasn't reaching for it because I felt like there were a lot of overlapping shades within the Soft Glam, within Modern Renaissance, or just things that kind of looked similar. But I think I did a video talking about like things I fell out of love with, and I mentioned this palette, and then after that video I made an effort to start using this one again, and now I'm kind of back to a place where I'm not like, wow, this is the best palette ever. I do like this one, and it does have a valuable place in my collection, so I'm gonna keep this one, and I love the packaging. This is like my favorite Anasazi packaging ever. Okay, the Riviera palette. I can't believe I'm gonna do this, but I think I'm gonna get decluttered this one. This is my newest Anasazi palette. I got this one earlier this year. I reviewed it. I loved it. I thought it was a really great, solid quality palette. I love the pink shade in here, Bahamas. This is probably the only shade in here that I'm like, do I really want to declutter it though? But honestly, I have no problems with this palette. I love the quality. I think it's amazing. The color scheme, just like, it's beautiful. I just ordered the Jackie Aina palette, so that's coming soon, and I'll have a new Anasazi palette to add to my collection. But this one, it's all colorful shades, and I've been wanting Anasazi to do a colorful palette for a while now, and they did it. It was great, but I haven't been reaching for it. I think I need to let this one go. So I'm gonna get rid of the Riviera palette, even though I love the packaging of this so much. I love the aesthetic of it. I love the color scheme. But just because I love it doesn't mean I'm gonna use it. So I'm gonna pass this one on to somebody who will appreciate it more than I will. I have two palettes from Noble Cosmetics. This is an Italian brand. They have probably my favorite packaging out of like any makeup brand I've ever seen. They just get hella creative. The Dreamy palette, which has all these beautiful like constellations and gorgeousness. I love the kind of like touches of purple in here mixed with these kind of like berry toned and pink toned neutrals. Noble's formula kind of reminds me of the Anasazi formula. It's just a little bit less powdery, so it's still very soft and very like buttery smooth, but there's not as much fallout. So if you find that Anasazi's formula is a little bit too powdery but you like the pigmentation, I think you'd love this formula. So this is not going anywhere, obviously. One of my favorite palettes. Soul Blooming. I was actually really like not planning on picking this one up because I believe Jay Kissa gave this one a very negative review, so I was like, oh, it's probably bad, I'm not gonna pick it up. But everybody in the comments when I mentioned that was like, no, it's good, buy it. So I did. And you were not wrong. A lot more like brown toned rather than like pinky toned. Really love these touches like purple, like periwinkle blue. It's a very like spring oriented color scheme, as you can probably tell by like the lid, as you can probably tell by like the top of the palette. I love this year round. I think it's just a really ridiculously stunning palette. So I am so glad that I bought this one. It was a really great purchase. Alright, this next stack of palettes I'm going to go through, I see a lot of palettes that I really love, so I don't really see myself getting rid of a ton of these. The Goddess palette from Alter Ego. This is a dupe of the Natasha Denona Gold palette, I believe. I have a tutorial with this one on my channel and a few looks I've done on Instagram, but I was honestly stunned with how good this one is. I tried their other palette, the Sultry dupe, earlier in the year. I did end up giving that one to a friend just because she liked the color scheme a lot more than I did, but the formula in there was great too. This is ridiculous. Like, shimmer shades in here, there's a lot of very like duochrome foil packed shades. They look wet on the eyes, honestly. And I really like the mattes in here as well. You have 2 columns of mattes in here, and this kind of like baby shit brown speaks to my whole soul, so I'm gonna keep this one. Alright, my Ace Beauté Paradise palettes. This was kind of like a vault collection that they came out with last year, where they had 4 palettes with 4 different really fun color schemes. Got the Classical Paradise and Paradise Fallen. Paradise Fallen is a completely like dark, stormy, beautiful purple color scheme. I've done a few looks with this one, and I just love the colors in here. They're beautiful. But I also have this little single palette that I made with all my favorite purple shades in here. These are just singles from a bunch of different brands, mostly ColourPop, some Coastal Scents, a couple Anasazi things as well. I think this kind of has all the shades in here that I love very much from here, minus some of the shades I don't love in here. For example, I don't really love the shimmer formula from Ace Beauté. I think their mattes are just a lot better. So I can't really believe I'm doing this, but I'm going to get rid of the Paradise Fallen palette. I'm going to keep my palette of purple singles. Classical Paradise palette. This one is a lot more like fall toned. So excited. Like, it's still pretty much summer, and it's going to be basically summer weather in California until November, and from there it goes down to like 80, and our winter temperatures are like, ooh, 70, let me put on a jacket. So that being said, we don't really have seasons that much here, but I do love breaking this one out when I'm like, oh, it's fall now, I'm gonna put fall colors on. Basically, whenever Starbucks is like, pumpkin spice lattes are back, I'm like, okay, so is this one. I've been anticipating using this one for fall. I haven't really been using it a lot outside of that though. I think that having fewer things in my collection will allow me to reach for this more, hopefully. And if I don't reach for it again by the next time I declutter stuff, this will go. But I'm gonna keep it for now. My only palette from Dust of Colors is the Desi Katie Friendcation palette. Honestly, this slaps. I love the formula of these. The shimmers are truly something else. They're packed with this really fine glitter so they look wet and sparkly and beautiful on the eyes. I do think that they perform best with a finger, so if you don't like using your finger for shimmers, you might not like this palette. I think this is probably the best palette that was released last year, and definitely one of my favorites in my collection, so this is not going anywhere. I have 3 palettes from Melt Cosmetics. You guys know I love the Melt formula. The Gemini palette, I got my hands on this one before Melt actually came to Sephora, so this one I like hunted this down. And then they came to Sephora and I was like, oh, I could have just like waited 2 months and just bought it from, okay. This is one of my favorite palettes in my collection. I love, again, having these kind of like mustardy toned, grungy. I just find that like pukey browns and mustardy yellows kind of really flatter my undertones. So black shade here called Bonnie is the best matte black I've ever used in my life. Olive green shades in here, particularly the mattes, are just crazy. I love my Gemini palette, and then the Smoke Sessions palette I wasn't expecting to love as much. I've got 2 mattes in here, and I generally like to have like at least 4 or 5 mattes with a good gradient of different shades. I can create a full eye look with the one palette. I have been able to do eye looks with just using this palette, but I really like how this one pairs with the Gemini palette. Like, I love using these together, just kind of create looks between the 2 palettes. And then again, I kind of love how these palettes both have like a separation of color schemes. You have the kind of like mintier, bluer toned greens over here, and then you have like the browner, goldy toned greens over here. It just all really flows together. So I love these 2 palettes here. Then I bought the Blueprint stack because I was very excited to see a stack that they had having like not just browns in there. The Blueprint is a kind of like blue toned stack. Mine came completely shadowed, so I had to kind of clean this whole thing up and repress it. This was the most damaged duo of the entire thing. But yeah, basically it's like a half neutral, half very blue toned palette. I really do love this a lot. I just feel like I haven't been reaching for this one, partially because it is kind of like a more high effort thing to use. Instead of just like opening up a palette, you have to kind of like unfurl this entire like stack of magnets. And also, kind of like the Smoke Systems palette, there's only 2 mattes in here. There's a dark brown, and then there's a dark blue. I don't know, because of the condition that it's in, because I had to repress so many shades, I don't think I could really sell this palette. I might see if one of my friends wants to take this off my hands. Honestly, I do prefer the formula inside the palettes a lot more. The Urban Decay Naked Heat palette is the only naked palette that I still own. Can we just can we just make fun of this palette for a second? Like I'm sorry, but is somebody at Urban Decay colorblind? Because this is a fully brown palette. I don't see any honey there. I do think it's actually a really beautiful, like kind of like mustardy brown palette, and I would buy it if it was like mustardy pukey neutral, but it's marketed as a honey palette, so I might still buy it because the packaging, hot damn, but if the reviews are not good, I'm out. And I still really like this one. I do feel like you can't really do a ton with it just because the color scheme, it's all these kind of like terracotta, rosy, orangey brown shades, and they all kind of vaguely look the same. So even if I try to do a bunch of different looks with this one, they always end up kind of like looking like they came from the Naked Heat palette, which isn't a bad thing, but it's not the best in terms of like having a variety of different things you can do with this one. So I'm gonna keep this one, but again, kind of like the Ace Beauté palette, if it comes around to the next declutter and I haven't used this one, I will get rid of it. I have 3 palettes from Deco Scarlet. They are a subscription service, and over time, as I've had a bunch of these palettes come to me, I've kind of like Frankenstein the palettes and taken out the shades I liked from them, popped them into other palettes, and then got rid of shades I don't like in another palette. So this is my edition number 9. I kept the original like purple shades and the cooler tone shades, but then I popped in this periwinkle blue from the edition number 13. So once I got rid of that periwinkle blue, I popped in a shade from the edition number 11, and this is full of shades I don't really need. So I'm gonna get rid of this one here, and I'm keeping the number 9 and the number 11, which is full of a bunch of shades that I really did like. So even though these don't really resemble the palettes that they originally were, they do have the shades that I wanted to keep in here. Alright, here's a palette that I feel like has not been talked about in a long time. This is the Jouer Skinny Dip palette. Fun fact, I bought this one because I saw Nikki Tutorials swatch it on her Snapchat story like about a year and a half ago. And now I rarely buy things just based on swatches because swatches can be very deceiving. They can either be really, really good and then the actual product is not great, or they can be very, very bad swatches and the quality is amazing. Like Sugarpill, for example. They swatch awfully, but they look beautiful in the eyes. This one swatches amazingly and looks amazing on the eyes too. These are some of the most beautiful, intense shimmer shades, and I don't normally love having a full palette of shimmer shades. This is kind of like a specialty palette where you just kind of reach into it to get a specific lid shade. So for now, I'm gonna keep this one. It's nice and slim, so it doesn't really take up too much space in the collection. Alright, I think now is an appropriate time to tackle the beast that is ColourPop. I have a lot of palettes from ColourPop, and I used to have a lot more, but over time I've gotten rid of quite a few things from them. Yeah, I guess I'll start with the cardboard palettes because I have 3 of their like plastic palettes. This Sweet Talk palette, which is what I'm wearing on my eyes right now, I really like this palette a lot. I don't really love that ColourPop is like, hey, let's put pressed glitters in everything now. I think they have a time and a place, and a lot of the time this is not the time nor the place. I am wearing this pressed glitter right now on my kind of like the upper rim of my eye, but I do love the shades in here. It's kind of like a more warm-toned, peachier toned version of the Huda Beauty New Nude palette, whereas that one is more like cooler toned, more like lavender, mauvey tone shades. And overall, I think ColourPop's formula is very consistent between their palettes. So I'm gonna keep this one. I think it's really pretty. I still have the My Little Pony palette for some reason, and you know what? I love this one for what it is, which is a very like pastel-filled, very nostalgic kind of retro theme. I think the shades in here are again great quality. I do think the color scheme is very fun and whimsical. I don't really reach for this one very often. It's cute, but it doesn't inspire me very much. I think I'm gonna get rid of this one, even though it is very adorable. The Dream Street palette with Kathleen Lights. This is again one of my favorite like travel palettes. If I don't want to take the big honker that is the Jaclyn Hill palette, I'll usually take this and maybe the Too Faced Just Peachy Matte palette. This is beautiful. Again, I love having neutrals with a pop of color in there, and the formula is really good and the packaging is absolutely stunning. So that one stays. I have the Wet palette. This is from the Bretman Rock collaboration that they did. I got rid of the lip palette a while ago, and I just have this one because I really love this almost like white, very light blue shade in here. It's really nice like non-chalky white shade, so I really like this one for like doing a nice white lid. Blue shade here is really beautiful as well, but I do think I have a few shades like this in my collection. The shade Thickums, I was keeping this palette just because it had a silver in here, and I was keeping it for the silver. I just recently bought this palette from Tarte. This is a finger paint foil palette, and it looks fairly similar. There's the most amazing silver I've ever used in my life, and there's this kind of like taupey brown shade in here. So I think I can get rid of this one, and I'm gonna keep this one because I like the formula in here a little bit better. Then my last surviving cardboard palette is the Good Sport palette. This one again kind of reminds me of the Ace Beauté Classical Paradise. It's just a very like fall toned, like I'm not like other girls. Color scheme is just buttery, it's smooth, it's crazy pigmented, and the shimmers in here are insane. It's my favorite 12-pan palette that they've ever come out with. And now for their 9-pan monochromatic palettes. I've been waiting for them to come out with a 9-pan rainbow palette, and instead they came out with this like $40 monstrosity, which as pretty as it is, I don't need that. I wanted a 9-pan $12 rainbow palette. ColourPop.
She's a disgrace to humanity.
Anyways, they have the entire series of their monochromatic palettes. I only have 3 of them because again, kind of like Anasazi palettes, I was gonna try and collect them all, but then I was like, I don't need to though. So the It's My Pleasure palette is the purple version. Again, I did declutter the Huda Beauty Amethyst Obsessions because I liked this one a little bit more. They are beautiful. I've done a few looks with this one. I love this palette a lot. Just My Luck is the green version. It seems like it's going to be like a clover themed palette, but then it's got like weed puns. Vaguely reminds me of the Mel Gemini palette and Smoky Sessions kind of rolled into one beautiful green thing. I also really love this one. I think it's better than the Huda Beauty one. And then the Honey palette, the yellow version, has kind of been my one of my go-to palettes for summer. I love yellow eyeshadow with a burning passion, and this just kind of blew me away. I honestly was not expecting it to be this good, but they snapped. Alright, I think I'm going to do my Kaleidos palettes next. I have 4 of these left. Start with the permanent ones. I have the Kaleidos Futurism 1, which is the green one. This one was definitely the one that was like most popular when I reviewed it. I think everyone was like really intrigued by this color scheme. I love this. The quality is absolutely insane. I love the look I did with this one. It does remind me a little bit too much of the Mel Gemini palette. I just think the color schemes are pretty like dead on accurate. And then between the two of them, I think they're both very similar in formula. So I have a friend who is like, I want to try those palettes so much because I raved about these. So I think I'm going to give this one to her. But I will be keeping my Futurism 3. This is so beautiful. The most unique, like, cool tone color schemes I've seen in a while. I did a Get Ready With Me with this one on my channel, and the look that I created with this one was like one of my favorite looks I've done in a long time, so keeping this one. And I have their limited edition summer palettes, so the other Futurism ones are permanent in their collection, but they have limited edition versions for summer. Futurism 4 VR Neon is this beautiful, like, sour Skittles, insanely gorgeous. I believe the last video I did right before this one was a Get Ready With Me using this palette and the other one, but this is just absolutely insane. The quality of these is beyond. And then the Futurism 5 Electric Turquoise, this one, again, I love this like neon orange right here with the blues. It just, I wouldn't have thought to pair those together, but I just think these are inspiring and beautiful color schemes. I have one surviving palette from Natasha Denona. This is the Joya Holiday palette from Holiday 2017, I want to say. I do have some depotted Natasha singles I showed you earlier, but this is my only like intact Natasha palette, and I say intact very loosely because the shade has fallen out on camera before and I've had to repress it. Since I've repressed it, this shade actually performs like better than it did before. I haven't really reached for the rest of this palette in a long time. I think it's absolutely stunning, but I have so many shades like this in my collection and I just don't think I need it anymore. So this is gonna go. And I have this little neutral palette full of my favorite neutral singles I have in my collection. I'm not gonna do a video going through all my single shadows, just that would take forever and ever, but I am gonna keep this one because it's my favorites. I have 2 palettes left from Coastal Scents. This is the Creative Me. It's one of my favorite affordable rainbow brights palettes. I do like keeping these for like video comparison purposes, but during Pride season I reached for this one quite a few times to just fill in the look with some extra colors. So I really like this a lot. And I also have this magnetic palette from Coastal Scents filled with their best Hot Pot singles. So these are some of my favorite like rainbow bright shades from Coastal Scents, and I pretty much love everything in here. It's just a really good all around. They just have a really great all around formula. It's definitely one of my favorite affordable brands for really good quality colorful eyeshadows. I don't generally go for like luxury brands for eyeshadows. I normally try to stick to like the indie and high-end kind of sphere. I do make an exception for Marc Jacobs. My only iconic palette that I have is the Scandalust. I used this one just the other day to do a very neutral look, and I just think these perform absolutely beautifully. I bought this at a time when I was going through a very rough breakup, and it was one of the only things that just made me feel like very happy at that time. So I love this palette. The quality is amazing. It's very like slim and skinny too, so it doesn't take up too much space. Okay, this one, I know what I need to do, but I still don't want to do it. The Kylie Cosmetics Purple Palette. This I need to get rid of because I really don't reach for it other than to use this one shade here. I don't have any other like lavender matte shades in my collection. I only use this palette just for this one shade here, and it's like one of my favorite shades in my collection, but I don't use the rest of the palette, so I need to get rid of it. I'm gonna ask you guys for your opinion. Do you think I should depot this one and then just sell the palette without it, or do you think I should sell this palette whole and then try to track down like a different lavender matte shadow? Because I don't want to do that because I love this one so much, and like don't fix what ain't broke. But yeah, I am decluttering this one. I just need to kind of find out what I'm going to do about this lavender shade. I might depot it, but I don't like doing that, so I might just go buy a single. If you have any lavender singles, let me know if you have any recommendations because I need that. I have 2 little trios from Kaja Beauty. These are the Beauty Bento eyeshadow trio palette thingies. The original ones that they came out with were all shimmers, so I have the Orange Blossom one. This is one of my favorite shimmer formulas, kind of like the Huda Beauty one. They just look very reflective and almost wet looking on the eyes. They're just super glittery, packed, and beautiful. As much as I love the all shimmer ones, I love the matte trios even more. You do still get one of those beautiful shimmer shades in here, but you also have this really beautiful buttery matte formula. Of course, I picked the most beige one possible. This is the Chocolate Dahlia. It's such a great neutral palette to just kind of throw in to like a travel bag or a purse and just kind of take with you wherever you go. So I like these a lot, and I've heard really great things about their colorful formula as well. So I want to get more of these, even though I definitely should not buy More eyeshadow. Only e.l.f. palette that I have left is the e.l.f. Matte from Matte Jewel Pop. All beautiful, colorful shades, and to be honest, I've only been keeping this one because I wanted to have e.l.f. shadows in my collection so I could like reference them in a video. But that's not a reason to keep something if I'm not using it. So I'm gonna get rid of this one, even though I do really like the quality of this, and I think it's really good. I just have so many other colorful shades I reach for over this palette, so this is gonna go. The Ciate Glitter Storm palette, I really like this one a lot. It's a very good neutral palette. But I just, at this point, I've kept so many neutral palettes, I don't think I can keep this one. And even though I love this out of packaging, I think it is a little bit too bulky for me. So I still think this is an amazing palette, and I think Ciate is a very underrated formula overall. But as mesmerizing as this shit is, I need to think with my brain and not my glittery heart. And the last palette, just for shits and giggles, I don't know how I got this. This is like some NYX Trio Meet Me at the Copa. Okay, I don't know where this came from. Like, do you ever just like look in your collection, you see a product and you're like, where did that come from? Like, when did I get that? That's me with this. I don't know where this came from. It's new, it's never been used, and this can definitely leave. But that is all the palettes. I just have like a bunch of singles left, so I'm gonna put these away and then I'm gonna count up what I'm getting rid of and we'll close this video up. So I just counted up, and the final tally of things I'm decluttering is 23 palettes. I feel pretty good about that, especially with the other palettes I've decluttered over the past like month or so behind the scenes that I've already sold. I just feel a lot better with this collection. It's still a lot, and it's definitely like a lot more makeup than I'll ever go through in my lifetime. I definitely think it's more approachable, and it's gonna give me a better chance of like using things I really love. So yeah, that was my updated eyeshadow palette collection and declutter video. Honestly, I think I'm gonna have to do these like every 6 months or so because it's kind of becoming like a biannual thing. If you want to see more declutters, please let me know what you'd like to see. I think I'm gonna do probably foundations next because that's becoming a problem quickly. But if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you are subscribed down below, and also follow me on Instagram to see makeup looks like this and the ones I showed you throughout the video posted regularly-ish. And if you made it to the very end of this video, you pigmented juicy mangoes, you get the bonus meme. Love you. Bye.
Oh my god, right. Me and Em got on the train to come home, and oh my god, what is that on my... Is my eyelash hanging off?